Hello, YouTube. Prof coming at you with a video, and it has been a minute. So I don't remember the last time I was on, but it was probably a few months. A lot has happened, and I'll definitely share all that with you guys. Let me get rid of this. Sorry. But anyway, hope everyone out there is doing well. I decided to come on tonight to give you an update about what's been going on with me, what's been going on with reselling, what's been going on with side hustles, what's been going on with life. So lots of things to get into tonight. I hope everyone out there can hear me. I don't really know yet because I don't see anybody on the stream at the moment. But give me a shout out in the comments if you can hear me okay. I think we should be good. But this is the first time I think I broadcast from my new setup, and I don't know. So, man, where to even start? I see a few people filtering in. What's up, Scott? Eamon says, yes, thank you. I don't remember the last time I was on, so let me try to fill you in. And if I forget something or mention something twice, sorry. So we moved. I think I talked about that before. Kaaren and I had a job change situation. Her job moved to Wilmington, North Carolina, which is actually where we moved to. And we moved here in July. Yeah, I think it was July. Right in the third week of July, we bought a house here in Wilmington. Yes, we did manage to navigate the crazy house market that is out there. For those of you watching this in the future, you just don't understand what 2021 has been like. But we did find a house, and we moved in July and are all settled in and starting to, do all the things you do around a house and so on. Karen's job moved here. My job with Amazon, unfortunately, there was no way to move here with it. So I did have to leave Amazon, as I think I mentioned in a previous video. And I've not picked back up any work with them. I just, there's not really, I guess there's virtual opportunities maybe, but there's not really an opportunity to work here in Wilmington at a physical place. And the virtual jobs are kind of difficult to get sometimes. So good afternoon, land. I started to say land picker shark, land shark picker. So I am still selling on the platform, which is kind of a side hustle income right now, and working to build that. So I'm going to share with you guys kind of what I've been doing with Amazon over the past, a couple months really. So a lot is going on with that. So we moved here in July. We bought a house. We recently got a puppy. I don't have her to show you on camera, but she is a 6-month-old German Shepherd, full purebred German Shepherd. Her name is Raina, and she's just a delight. So she's in the other room right now, but she'll probably make an appearance here on the broadcast at some point, I'm sure. But that's been fun. It's been like being, I guess I'm a dog parent now. It's like being a parent all over again for those of you who have little furry animals. And yeah, that's been really a lot of fun, just getting to raise a dog again and just see her grow and just all the craziness that comes with that. We went on a trip to Yellowstone back in August. We were there for 10, 11 days, I think. We flew into Bozeman, Montana, and then we drove south about an hour, and then we stayed in a cabin near the northwest part of the park. If you've never been to Yellowstone, I highly recommend it. It's a magical place. It's just vast and full of wildlife and geothermal and all kinds of scenery that you just can't even put into words. It's just different than anywhere you have back east, that's for sure. It's just huge. That was a great trip. There were 7 of us in a cabin for a week, and we all had a great time and just, saw some bears, saw tons of elk, bison. Gosh, I know I'm going to forget some things, but we saw all kinds of wildlife, took, I don't know, 2,000 or 3,000 pictures, some ridiculous amount. And that was just one of those amazing trips that you just really can't define and put into words. So if any of you ever have a chance to get out to Yellowstone, I highly recommend it. It would be different in the winter. You'd have to be able to snowmobile and ski and all that good stuff because it gets very cold. But in the summer, it's actually quite nice in terms of the temperature. And it gets very chilly at night, but warm during the day. So we got back from that, and I have been just going full force into Amazon since then. As many of you know, I got my start selling on eBay, and that was great. There was lots of things I liked about eBay, some things I didn't like about eBay, but it was a great learning experience. I think eBay is a great side hustle business. I don't know that it makes sense for most people full time for various reasons. Amazon, on the other hand, is a platform that I think scales better for full time if that's what you desire, which is definitely something I'm looking into. But for right now, it's just a side hustle. I'm just building it. We got our start on Amazon and books, for those of you who may not have been watching on this channel in the past. And books were great, but Amazon made a lot of changes to their inventory limits and so on, which made book selling on the platform, in my opinion, next to impossible unless you're, as in terms of like full-time money, unless you're selling textbooks, which comes with its own set of risks. So I think the book business on Amazon, I don't say it's dead. I just think it's more difficult. Amazon doesn't want to be, in my opinion, in the book business any longer. So they've made steps to make sure that the people selling books are selling very, very fast, rapidly moving books, or they're just able to sit around a small inventory, but it's highly profitable and they can make some money on it because they got such great ROI. But it's just hard to scale now unless you can't send in thousands and thousands of books and have an inventory sitting there like you could in the past. It's very difficult. So I moved away from books because I saw that coming. And I also saw that books is, you kind of have to be in the bulk game. I don't want to say the bulk game, but you kind of have to be able to have enough access to enough sources to really go after it. To go out and scan in thrift stores and get books and build a big business on Amazon, even if you didn't have the inventory limits, is difficult. Not impossible, but difficult. It's difficult because most people just don't have access to enough books quickly enough in their area to do that. So they end up having to drive further away, go further away, or have some other means to get books. And it just wasn't something I think we wanted to do. I think that a lot of people, books sounds romantic and great and easy, and books are easy. Don't get me wrong. Selling books on Amazon is very easy to do. The actual physics of it and actually getting books in the box and processing them and shipping them and sending them in, very simple business. But the scalability of it now and the access to inventory is always the challenge with books, unless you go the bulk model. I was talking with a friend of mine at a meetup just about a month ago, and we were talking about, and he has been doing the bulk business for a while by the Gaylord. And he said, it's just difficult. He's looking to probably get out of it at this point, and it's because it's not as scalable as it used to be. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of physical work. Moving books around are heavy. And you've got to really want to be able to flip the volume to make any money at it. When you think about maybe only making $2, $3, $4 a book on thrifted books, for instance, and that's not a crazy number by any case, say you want to sell even 1,000 books a month and make, let's say, $3,000 profit. To sell 1,000 books a month right now, thrifted books, is very difficult because the inventory has been limited, and for a lot of people down to just 1,000 units. And you're not going to turn your inventory every month, one full turn. It's just not going to happen in books. And if it does, you're sourcing very good ranked books. And those books are great. They will turn fast, but they're not going to make you $3 profit a book. In most cases, they're going to make quite a bit less than that. If any booksellers are out there watching this and you have any comments to the contrary and you think that I'm off on this analysis, I'd love to hear from you. That's kind of my take on it after doing it for the better part of like 4 years off and on, and then kind of going through all the trials and tribulations of it. We do not even source books now at all. I haven't sourced a book in probably 3 or 4 months. So it's not a business I'm looking to get back into. I look at those inventory slots are valuable, and I don't want to gum them up with books, shall we say. So what are we doing? Well, we moved back into a retail arbitrage and online arbitrage model. And that comes in two forms. For those of you who don't know what retail arbitrage is simply finding items that are usually clearanced or on sale or on some sort of heavy discount at retail stores and finding them marked down a significant percentage. And those products at the same time are selling on Amazon at a higher markup that makes sense given the all the fees and so on that Amazon charges. You still can make a reasonable profit on it. That's retail arbitrage. Online arbitrage is doing the same thing, except you are buying specifically from online websites from the comfort of your home. So you don't have to leave home. You can have the items shipped to your house and they come in. Once you have enough of them, you package them up and make a shipment and send it in. Retail arbitrage has been around for quite a while. Online arbitrage is a little bit newer. It's not new, but it's newer to a lot of people, especially. And it's definitely, I guess I was always skeptical of online arbitrage, but now over the last few months, I've really seen the light, if you will. And what have I seen that's different? I've seen that online arbitrage allows you to use your time more, I won't say wisely, but in a different way. For instance, let's say that you wanted to go out and have a retail arbitrage sourcing day. You're going to go out to brick and mortar stores. Great. And let's say you have, you've targeted 10 stores in your area that makes sense for you to go to. Great. So now you're going to get in your car, you're going to throw some bins in the back of your car, you're going to charge up your smartphone, your scanner, or whatever you're using to scan these items, and you're going to go hit these stores, and you're going to go spend some time in these stores. And maybe you've done some research beforehand, but maybe you haven't. And let's say, you know, they're big box retailers, or it's the second, not the second hand, but the discount stores that, you know, get items the next year, the TJ Maxx's and Marshalls of the world and so on. And you go hit these 10 stores. Well, 10 stores even in a small metro area is going to be a full day. No doubt about it. I don't even know if you could hit 10 stores depending on how big they are. If you start throwing in the Walmarts and Targets of the world and you do heavy amounts of scanning in those two stores, you're not going to hit 10 stores because those stores have a lot of SKUs, a lot of clearance sometimes. You could spend an hour in one store. Like literally spend an hour in it. Or you could spend 15 minutes. You could just hit the clearance aisles and call it a day. I mean, there's so many different strategies for doing that, but suffice it to say, you're going to spend a lot of time. You're going to waste a lot of time doing a couple things. It's not wasted because you have to do it, but you're going to spend a lot of time driving to stores. You're going to spend a lot of time walking around in stores, not actually scanning, like walking from area to area. You're going to spend a lot of time scanning, but that's the same as online. You're going to spend time in the checkout, like making, you know, actually going through, and then you're going to spend time driving to the next store. So I kind of always had the assumption, and it was just a round number, but if you go to a store and you scan it even moderately, a moderate amount of scanning in it, but and I was in Charlotte before, which is a bigger metro area, has a lot of stores around. So you can go to a lot of places in a small area. I still looked at it like it was going to be an hour in between each stop, between the time to drive there, go in, get set up, find, you know, go around, scan everything, maybe check out because you got stuff, maybe you didn't, then get back in the car and drive the next one. So a 10-hour store day is going to take you at least 10 hours, maybe more than that a lot of times. Now you could do it quicker. But the problem is if you did it quicker, it's because you didn't scan as much or you didn't find much, both of which are not good things. So if you're really kind of thorough, especially in these bigger stores or even like a Marshalls or something, I mean, Marshalls has a lot of crap in it. You're going to spend some time. There's just no other way around it. And you're going to have a lot of downtime. So let's say you go in those 10 stores and let's say you find 5 items at each. That would be great. And when I say 5, I mean a quantity of 5, not 5 separate SKUs, but 5 actual items. Maybe one store you don't find anything, another store you find 10. And you could find more than that, but you're going to come home with 50 units, which is not bad. That's not bad. Don't get me wrong, that's not a bad day. But you had to go spend 10 hours, and you still have to get those items and prep them and ship them and send them in. You're not done, but you've got them in your possession. You put some wear and tear on your car. You've spent some mileage. You've spent some gas. Excuse me. Perhaps you even went, overnight. If you went to a bigger town, maybe you have a hotel expense, Airbnb. It's not a quick process. I've done it many, many times. I've done it many different ways. I've went to probably a few hundred different outlets and stores at this point. And I've done it shopping for other people. I've looked at different systems on how to do it. I'm not going to say I'm a retail arbitrage expert, but I know some things. And I don't think that it's a super efficient way to do it. Will it work? Yes. Do I still do it some? I do, specific instances. But I'm not going to make that my only bread and butter. And I really can't, because moving here to the coast, we have limited retail arbitrage opportunities. For me, I now have to drive back inland somewhere a couple hours minimum to really even get to any kind of density of stores and so on. So there's just no way for me I can do some here in Wilmington, obviously, but it's not a hugely populated area in terms of stores and so on. So for me, it made sense to move towards online arbitrage. And online arbitrage is the same concept, except you are going to the websites of companies and you are sourcing directly from the website items that are for sale on Amazon. You're using some things that are a little bit trickier to use in the stores sometimes, but not always. You're able to use discounted gift cards. You're able to use cash back on credit cards, but you can do that in the store too. You're able to sometimes do online exclusives. You can manipulate enough of the quantities to get shipping and free shipping. And you can get these items sent right to your home. They get sent to your home. They show up in a few days. You bundle them together, boom, make a shipment, you're done. No driving to stores, no time in checkouts, other than just checking out online, which takes just, a minute or less. And you've got your items and they're coming in. The other thing is you can go through a lot of stores in a short amount of time. You can go through, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but you can go through, several stores in like an hour. You could not do that at retail arbitrage. I can shop, I can go through leads of like, I don't know, I could easily do 10 stores in an hour, easily. And probably more than that, actually. And even research them, make sure the numbers match and so on. Look at Keepa, look at all the tools I have to see if like the sale, buying it makes sense or not. And I don't have to leave home. It comes right to my door. It shows up in a few days and I open it up and I get ready to go. So online arbitrage has been our primary model for the past probably close to 2 months now. So you might say, well, how do you get online arbitrage items? How do you know what to look at? Well, that's where you end up coming up with, that's where you run into List. There's software out there that goes through all these websites and compares the discounts and the sales of items to what they are on Amazon. And you can put in criteria that says, I want this much profit and this sales rank and this kind of sales velocity, yada, 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 these factors. Spit out everything of this category, spit out everything on this company's website that hits those targets. And then you go and you look at that and you see if that lead makes sense. And if it does, you go to the company's website, you open up Amazon at the same time, boom, you see what it's like, and then you buy it. That software is not something that I own. Instead, I am on some lead lists where I get about 40 leads a day, Monday through Friday, that hit my email, hit a Google Drive, and I just go through those leads. I group them all together, and I just go through those leads and just see which ones make sense and order straight from there. And the next day, I get another 40. Some of the brands I can't sell. You run into that because Amazon has restrictions, right? Gated brands and so on. Some of the items don't make sense for my model. I don't like doing certain things. I hate hazmat stuff. I don't like doing big food bundles. It just annoys me on a deeply personal level for some reason. And there's just things that I don't do. But the good part about it, gang, is I don't have to drive to those stores to see those items and scan them. I don't have to guess. It's like having a secret weapon, and the secret weapon is you don't have to waste your time going through a whole store. You don't have to look at every little picky clearance item that's in the clearance section that's probably damaged or maybe open. There's only one of them. Oh, excuse me. It's really not past my bedtime. I don't know why I'm yawning, but it's really cool because you're able to go through very quickly and find a lot of units very quickly. And the downside to it is you usually are not going to get, or there are downsides. You're not going to get the items for as good of a price as you would in a clearance section. They are clearanced a lot of times, but it might not be as good. So you might have to settle for less profit margin. But usually you can buy quantity. So say like you wanted to make $10 an item profit and you found an item that was only making $7. Well, you could buy 2 of them. And you're going to make your $10. You're going to make $14, or you could buy 3, 4, or 5. It just depends on the item and what quantity is available on the website and so on. I prefer the online arbitrage model. I'm looking to basically, eventually I'd like my business to be 100% online arbitrage in terms of sourcing for Amazon. It's not at that point yet. I think I will be able to get there. I just think that it's going to take a while to do that. Like last month, I'm looking at my numbers. I spent about 70% on online arbitrage and 30% on RA. This month it's running a little higher for the RA because I had a big score at a Kohl's the other day. So, but that's kind of a random amount, and it'll probably get more to that 70-30 split by the end of the month. But yeah, online arbitrage is definitely the model I like. I like the lead list. I like being able to do this right from home. I can do it right from my computer. It appeals to the spreadsheet geek in me on some level because it's all on Google Sheets and spreadsheets and so on. And I'm starting to see some results from it. So the title of the video is about so close to 10K. So Amazon's always been like the side hustle to my side hustle, if you want. It's never really been a focus for me. Even when we were doing books, it was kind of like, well, we can scale this to a point and make a little extra income. But I was working for Amazon and there just wasn't a lot of time to do it, and probably not a lot of energy or dedication to it. And I'm not sure I ever totally bought it. Bought's the wrong word. I'm not sure I ever totally thought this is going to work at this level that, we need it to be at. I just didn't totally believe it. I knew textbooks were great, but I didn't want to go down that road. But books alone just didn't seem that great. And then I've dabbled and sold other things on Amazon over the years, but it's never really been a big part of my revenue streams and so on. Never. So given that, I've never actually hit a 10K month on Amazon. But since I've started selling more online arbitrage and retail arbitrage and moved away from books, I've seen the average selling price of my items go up quite a bit. And I'm going to share some of those numbers with you here in a moment. You might have seen some right at the very beginning of the video. I realized I had that screen share up by accident. But I've started kind of keeping track of all that just to kind of see how it's going. Now, I really didn't start selling on Amazon seriously again until, oh man, I don't even know. It's probably like, I sent in quite a bit like in June and so on in July, but really I didn't really start until August, kind of in the middle of August or so. I got involved with the seller tribe on Amazon or on Facebook. Some of you may know who that is. It's Gary Ray and Gay Lisby and Andy Slamans and their group. And I joined the tribe. That was an investment of money. That was been an investment of time, but it's been a really good investment of money and time. They're a good bunch of people. They have a group of about 300 or 400 sellers, many of which are multi-million-dollar sellers on Amazon. I already knew a couple people that were in the group, a few people, and then I've met several others that have been really great resources and so on. And I went to the event in Hershey in September, which was really good. There's something powerful about being around a bunch of people who are walking where you want to go. And I don't really have high aspirations like some of the people do for Amazon Gang. I don't see myself being a multi-million-dollar a year seller on Amazon. That could change. I actually could see myself selling $300,000-$400,000 a year on Amazon and being pretty content with that. Now, having said that, I've never sold $300,000 or $400,000 a year in Amazon. I've never sold $300,000 or $400,000 a year in reselling. And honestly, I don't really know that many people other than Amazon sellers who have. There's a lot of you guys, probably some of you watching this right now, who are like, you're selling $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month, $5,000 a month. Maybe you're even hitting $10K a month, which is kind of a nice number. But to say that most people are selling $20,000 or $30,000 a month, that's a smaller group of people, and for a lot of reasons. Like I think a lot of people stack up sort of down there around the 3 or 5 or 7. And if any of you are consistently hitting over 10K a month, please put it in the chat. I'd like to hear and what platforms you sell on. I can't speak to the Poshmarks and Etsy's of the world and so on, but eBay, the number of 6-figure sellers I knew on eBay was small. There are some, don't get me wrong, but it's not a platform that scales as easily. Amazon is much easier to scale to that level, no doubt about it, just simply because of the FBA component, being able to send in your crap to Amazon, letting them deal with it, right? But I didn't think I was going to get there with books. I don't think I would have ever gotten there with books. I know a few people have gotten pretty high up with books, but even there, it's not crazy math. So I don't know if there's any. I don't know if there's too many $1 million sellers with books. There probably are. I'm sure there are, but it's not common. But in the seller tribe, when I was up there in Hershey last month, there was a point in the presentation. There was a point in our main presentation day where they asked all the people to come up on stage that were what they call gold lanyard sellers. And gold lanyard sellers are people who have sold at least $1 million in gross sales in the past 12 months. I got to tell you, gang, there was more people on that stage probably at that point than there were still sitting down in the room. That was pretty impressive. I don't know how many people it was, but it might have been 60 or 70, 75. It was quite a few. And some of them were multi-million-dollar a year sellers. Now, that's not to say that, anything's guaranteed, but it spoke to being around people that, if you want to move up, if you want to level up in something, you have to be around people who are better at it and have gone or further along than you are. You're never going to really get very far just being around people who have never really accomplished a lot or don't want to accomplish a lot. That they're always going to kind of pull you down, maybe not even on purpose, but just sort of by the way, people act and so on. So it was nice to see that. The table I was sitting at did not have any $1 million sellers. The three of us, I think the one guy had done like 250K. So he was about where I want to be. And the other two sellers at the table were pretty new, which was cool. They were smaller like me. So I looked at it like, I think I can do that. I don't know about 1 million. I don't know if I need to do that, but I could see myself, doing 300,000 a year, and that would be a nice little income from that. Mark says, one person or two person operation is hard to make that much sales. You're right, Mark. It is. That's a real problem scaling on eBay. As a matter of fact, I don't know that there are too many eBay sellers who make, let's say, $200,000 a year by themselves. They're the only person doing it all. I'm sure there are some, but that's hard. That's hard. So, take that for what it's worth. Amazon, you can do it a lot easier, I think. So I really started going after the sales. I really started going after online arbitrage and retail arbitrage because I knew it would be a lot more profitable. I could send in a lot more units than I could with books. But I've had some hurdles for sure. And I'll probably talk more in depth about these maybe in a different video. But, I was not unrestricted in every brand. There was a lot of brands when I jumped back on this platform, I was still restricted in. And when you're restricted in a brand, you cannot sell on that brand unless you submit a letter from the manufacturer saying you're authorized to sell that brand, which you're not going to get that. Or you submit a invoice from a reputable, recognized distributor from that with that brand's items on it. So that can take a bit of time and energy to do. So, I had some restrictions with brands coming back into this. I had some restrictions like I didn't know the software that well. I knew about Be Cool, which is a repricer. I knew about Inventory Lab, which I use, which is for your listing and inventory, and you can do all your accounting and stuff on it. But I wasn't really that great on them. I still don't think I'm great on them. But I started watching the group's videos, and there's a lot of content in the Seller Tribe. When you go through it, I mean, it's like, I don't know, it's probably like 50 or 60 videos at this point, and the videos range on every topic you can imagine has to do with selling on Amazon, and they're all really, really good. And they're long. They're not, they're packed full of a lot of information. They're not just, 2 minutes of, boom, boom, and this is all you need, because that's not really accurate. So I've watched a bunch of them. I've probably watched maybe close to half of them. Some of them don't really apply to me, but I've started learning, and I knew that online arbitrage was what would make sense given all my factors, in terms of where we live and so on. So I started subscribing to lists. I subscribed to them last year, some online arbitrage lists, and I wasn't really happy with them. But when I look back at it, I realized I didn't really know what I was doing. And when you don't know what you're doing, and then you don't get the results you think you should get, your first inclination, if you're like me, is you point to like the source of it and say, the lists were bad, or, they were this or they were that. I realized I was kind of focusing on the wrong things with the list. I was focusing on all the things that would go wrong or that weren't right or incorrect instead of focusing on what worked. And I think at some point my mindset shifted with that. Because, you're going to get these lists of leads and so on. There's going to be errors. There's going to be problems here and there. But ultimately, you're going to be successful on what works on the list, not what doesn't work. So I realized I needed to start focusing on, all right, well, what can I make of this? How can I use this? What is this giving me? How can I, take this to the next level? And so I started buying. I started applying the criteria. I started applying, some simple criteria about what to buy and how much profit to make, how many of them to get, what kind of ROI I want to get. And I just started buying. And, it's kind of scary when you go out there and you start buying a bunch of OA items because you haven't seen them. You think they'll sell, but you don't totally know. You got to go in and set up your minimums and maximums for your repricers and things like that. There's a lot to it. As a side hustle, I would say Amazon is more time intensive, especially online arbitrage, than say an eBay, for instance. Well, maybe not more time intensive, just more mind intensive. You need to eBay. And there's a lot of information out there about selling on Amazon that you can use to your advantage on specific targets and specific SKUs and items that you don't have on eBay. And if you can use that information wisely, you can make some really great buys. I started going out to retail arbitrage stores armed with this new information, and it made my retail arbitrage sourcing better as well. Because there was a few stores I would go to, like, oh, this one particular store chain I really like, and I thought I'm just going to go keep killing at that store chain. Well, about 2 months ago, everything that store chain was carrying that I was buying was no longer so great, and they weren't even carrying a lot of it. So all of a sudden, I had to, you know, I had to pivot. I was like, man, I cannot keep sourcing these items there. They're not working the way I thought. And again, it's part of the learning curve. With anything, when you're learning it all again, you're going to screw it up and make a bunch of mistakes. Even if everybody tells you all the mistakes not to make, you'll make your own mistakes. So it was a lot to do. Linda said, did you discuss where you get the arbitrage lists, or is that a bad question? No, it's not a bad question. And I'm pretty sure I can give this information. One of the people who runs the seller tribe, Gay Lisby, she has a service where she pushes out a bunch of different lists. They limit the amount of people on them, of course, because you don't want too many people on any one list. It doesn't make sense. And that's one source that I've been using a lot. There are other arbitrage lists out there that you can get on. But I've been pretty happy with Gaze and so on. I've been, I think, pretty successful with them. I've learned to navigate them. But before you jump onto an arbitrage list, I would make sure that because an arbitrage list, the way it works is they're going to charge you a monthly fee. And that can range anywhere from $75 to as much as a couple $100 a month, depending on the list and what's on it and some of the criteria and who's doing it. And a more expensive list is not better than a cheaper list necessarily. So don't think it's just price. There's different reasons why they charge that. But before you do any of that, I would make sure that you really understand selling on Amazon. I would make sure you understand Keepa, which I've definitely had to get better on, knowing sales ranks and what's a good sales rank in a given category at a given time of year, and velocity of items. Like Amazon's a different beast. You can't just you're listing against one ASIN. Everybody is. So you really got to know you really got to know your numbers on Amazon. You can get away. All right. You can get away with having shitty ideas about your numbers on eBay. You can get away with that because most people are buying stuff on eBay that's really, really cheap, and they're just throwing it up there, and they're not having to pay any money to store it because it's stored in their bedroom or closet or garage or wherever they got it. And it's a separate listing. Like, if we're all selling, this pair of scissors, there's going to be 10 different listings of this scissor on eBay. So it would be, mine is going to be different than yours. But Amazon, we're all selling on the same listing. So you really got to know, well, how much do I need to buy this item for? How low really can I go with the price if the price starts tanking? Is there a seasonality to this item? Is sales rank indicative right now of what it's been historically? How much inventory is on there between other sellers? Like, these are all questions you need to know on Amazon. And you need to know some of those on eBay, but Amazon gives you a lot more tools. And because it gives you a lot more tools, it gives everybody else a lot more tools to know all those numbers. So it's a highly competitive marketplace. There's no doubt about it. And navigating it takes some skill. And as some of the people in my seller group, like a little bit of art. There's an art and a science to it. And there is, for sure. You've been selling there for 7 years. Not that well. Totally get it, Linda. So, yeah, I'd be glad to talk with people offline about specific things. But I don't recommend jumping onto an arbitrage list unless you have some basic knowledge of those things, because what you'll end up doing is exactly what I did. You'll jump on the list and you'll get it, and you won't be able to sell half the things on it because of restrictions, and the other things will look good, but they aren't really good. And maybe you buy some of them and they won't be so great, and you'll make a bunch of mistakes, and you'll spend some money, and you won't get great results, and you'll think, well, this is just terrible. But it's not terrible, because there are people with multi-million dollar businesses that do nothing but online arbitrage. So it's totally viable, but you need to understand how to do it, just like anything else. So, but yeah, if anybody wants to reach out to me on Facebook or whatever, I'd be glad to talk to you about it. It's too much to really cover, and I can't share with you like the leads and so on from the list I'm getting, because that would be, I'd be breaking the rules with that. So I can't really walk you through all that, but I can walk you through like a specific item and so on, and kind of what you're looking at with my limited knowledge, but I can tell you what I've learned so far. What was the issues with books having to source one off? CT covered. Yeah, I talked about it a little bit earlier, CT, just that books don't allow you to scale. It's hard to scale with books now since they've cut back on the inventory amounts you can have at the warehouses. So it's very hard to scale a book business, especially a thrifted book business. If you're doing bulk and you're turning very quickly and you've still got high inventory limits, maybe. If you're doing only textbooks, maybe, but textbooks are only going to be a couple times a year when you're going to really get the biggest bang for your buck. And the rest of the year, you're going to have, just a few sales here and there. It's just very difficult to do all those things. So that was why we kind of moved away from it. His name was Bill Green. He wrote a book on online arbitrage. Yeah, it wasn't Bill Green. It's, oh man, what is his name? You're right, it's Green. I can't think of his first name though. But yeah, that book's probably gotten a little dated now. But yeah, so I started. I'm gonna share the screenshot of kind of some of the stuff I've been looking at with cash flow. So let me see if I can share this. So this is my January, and up here, like in these 4 columns right here, this is basically starting from January today. And you can see I've got four items over here that I was tracking. Total items, how much the sales value was when I sent it in, how much it cost, and then the net profit. So you can see in January, I didn't send in anything. Or February. So they kind of sucked. I was working in Amazon in my defense. I just wasn't motivated. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I just wasn't. So I didn't have any numbers for those 2 months. I did have some sales this month. You can see down here in the next row right here, row 9. I did have about $6,000 worth of sales over the 2 months, even without sending anything in. It was kind of stuff left over from Christmas and so on, but nothing really that great. In March, I was going full bore with books again, and I was doing that on up into really June. And then I feel like you can see here I was sitting in 272, 185, 162, 425. I started mixing in retail arbitrage more in June. So that started helping with the sales value and so on. But, you can see here, like there's not a lot of sales value. 272 books getting sent in and $8,200 of sales value. I don't even know what that is. 8,205 divided by 272 is, that's like $30. I feel like something's wrong with that number. I feel like my numbers are weird. Hang on a second. Let me see if something's weird here. I think my numbers got all screwed up somehow, but maybe they didn't. Maybe they didn't. What the heck is going on here? Yeah, sorry, I just pulled a bunch of stuff over. Oh, well, maybe it was right. Yeah, so I started sourcing a little bit better into the summer and so on, in the late spring and so on. And you can see, like down here, I kept my buy cost, and then what my net profit would be. This is not what it actually was; it's what it would be. It's basically what Inventory Lab says it would be. But you can see I wasn't really sending in much. And then as I got into the summer, I realized the book totals changed. I think that was in the summer, and then I realized, like, this is not gonna work. So yeah, I actually changed right here in August, and you can see how like my sales value started going up for what I've been sending. I've already sent 11 grand in October. I'm probably going to be pushing 20 grand for the month in terms of sales value. Buy cost, has gone up. I've definitely spent a lot more money in the last 2 months. Spent $11,000 on product. And then, but my net profit is projected to be higher too. Like when I see these numbers, I don't know about you guys. Like, I don't know why that number's right there. I feel like that's bogus. I don't know why that's that high. But when I see these numbers right here of that kind of profit potential, I feel like, all right, this is starting to make sense as a side hustle. I think it was Brian Green. No, think about Mark. Sorry, distracted squirrel. But when I start seeing, okay, this side hustle can pull in $4,000 or $5,000 a month, maybe. All right, that's reasonable, right? I mean, I think most of us would look at it like, all right, that's potentially, starting to get real. But there's a lot of expenses. So this row right here has kind of all the sales for the year. So about 48. I don't think this is totally up to date, but it's pretty close. And you can see my sales are pretty anemic here all through the first 5 months of the year. 3,000, 3,500, 2,800, 3,300, then 4,000 in May, a little better. But then a nice month in June. So June was really a lot of books that got sent in and so on, and some arbitrage. And then July, it was pretty good. August, it went back because I went on vacation for a third of the month, was gone. And then also I just kind of lost my steam with the books because you couldn't send them in anymore because it was not going to sell. Chris Green. You're right. Chris Green. And then September. So this actually this number right here is actually showing lower off my official numbers because it took into account these refunds. That's a lot of refunds for sure. But it was actually, I think I came about $21 short of 10K in sales for the month. Now, when you hit that number, then all of a sudden, Amazon starts configuring everything and so on. Well, this happened and this was more and this was less and blah, 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 blah. There's all the stuff that happens behind the scenes and fills out. But I remember the last day of the month, I was watching my sales and I was like, man, this is going to be close. I'm going to see if I can pull up my Amazon account. Maybe I can show you guys that. But I'm not sure I can. But yeah, it was really close. And it was really kind of frustrating to be that close, gang, and not quite make 10K. And I'm like, well, there's nothing really magical about 10K, right? I mean, if you think about it, like there's not really anything magical about 10K versus 9,900. Well, it's $100, but it's not like a huge difference. But I don't know about you guys, but for me, it just kind of, I just kind of wanted that nice 5 digits, right? I mean, there's something kind of magical about that. Let's see if I can pull it up. September to, I'm going to see if I can pull up my sales here. And yeah. And I had some good days. I didn't have any record days. I've never had $1,000 day on Amazon, but I think that day is coming. So yeah, I'm going to show you this screen. So this is my actual, days in September. So let's go back to this one. Let me share this screen. It is business reports. And, okay. So you can see on this screen, this is my Amazon sales from September to the end of the month. And you can see each day what I did. So like right here on the first, I did 318, then I did 167. And I like to, like, this is what I looked at. Like, this is 318, but it's only 7 items. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like, when I see that I'm selling like $45 average selling price items, I get kind of excited about that. Like, that's hard to do on eBay. Not impossible, but harder to do. Like, you really have to, I'm just going to go source items that sell for $50. That's trickier. Not as hard to do on Amazon for sure. So you don't have to sell as many of them. You don't have to buy as many of them. You have to prep and ship as many of them. You just got to get them in. So the next day I did 167 and I sold 3. So it was like a $50 day. I don't know why I only did 40 this day. That day sucked. And this day right here sucked too. No idea. But you can see the days kind of started getting bigger. Like my strategy was I was really starting to get product in the mix. So 282 and then some ones, and then here's another 250, 286. Then we had a 474 on the 12th. That was nice. Some days of 180, 220, 127, couple $300 days right here. A couple $400 days back to back here. 425, 10 items, $42 an item right here, right? I mean, that is so much easier when you can sell with those higher dollar amounts. I don't know why I wasn't doing this more often. 13 items, 472. Then we had a big monster day here, $653, 13 items. $646, 20 items. 12 items for 527, 13 items for 616. I was like, man, I was just seeing like these average days were just going up. Then we had just a monster day for me here, 844, 17 items on the 28th. Like when I start, like about in the middle of the month, I thought there's no way I'll get anywhere near 10K. And as I got here, like in the last week, I'm like, maybe, and then $740 just to finish out the month. 10 units. Look at that. I mean, $74 average selling price. That is ridiculous. I'll take it. So you can see here, I ended up $99.70.56. $30. So like literally one more sale. But you can see here my average sales per order item was $38.95. Now, I'm going to show you something else here too. You can also see that month, in September, this past month, I sold 256 items. Why is that important? Well, that's important because I don't really have that many items. Let me show you. So Amazon has all these great reports they don't have on eBay, right? So I'm going to show you something that's just crazy. Where is it? Let's see. Oh, I need to add the column. So this is another one this one shows you your offer counts, and it does it for the whole month. So like in May, my average offer count was 560 units. That's because I had a lot of books on Amazon, right? As you can see, that number kept dropping. 545, 358, 312. Look at this. 307 was the month of September. This is the power of Amazon. Watch this. 307 was the average offer account I had. So what Amazon does is like a certain time each day, it goes on your account and says, all right, how many units do you have in inventory? This many. Then it records that. And the next day, same time, same thing. And then it adds all those up and divides by the number of days in the month. It says, what's your average order count, your average offer count? I had 256 units ordered on an average offer count of 307. Now, some of those units had multiples, but it wasn't like a crazy multiple because I only have a 1,000 unit cap, although it just got raised just the other day. But I only have a 1,000 unit cap because when the books dropped off, that was it. I might have had 500 actual items at Amazon. I don't know if there's a way to see it. There probably is somewhere. But look at this, guys. I mean, this is how crazy Amazon is. I was selling in September, I sold half of all the items I had at Amazon. How many you can say in an eBay month you sell half of your units in inventory? That is crazy. When you think about that, like that means you're turning your inventory totally once every 60 days. You're going to turn your inventory 6 times a year. And I think that's actually low. I think I can get that higher if I keep working on my buying and working on my repricing and so on. So I mean, the year's been around 36.8 before September or October is done. So we'll see how that happened, what goes on with that, how that finishes out. But I just want to show you that. So anybody thought, well, he's lying about the almost 10K. No, I'm not lying. There it is. That's right in my business report. So that is like, I'm a numbers guy. If you want to prove something to me, show me the numbers. Don't give me your opinion. I value opinions. Don't get me wrong. But don't give me your opinion. Say, this is what it is. Great. That's what you think. But I know I've lived long enough to realize that people have opinions about all kinds of things that are based on biases and preconceived notions and something they heard or whatever. And it's not really reality. Show me the numbers. Say, this will work. Great. Show me the numbers. All right, there's the numbers. And I'm pretty excited about it because I think this month of October, I have no doubt that I'm going to reach 10K. I should be over that. And the reason I know that is because in the last 30 days, I don't know if you guys will be able to see that. So the last 30 days, going back to those last few months of September, you can see like, this is where, I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Oh, can you even see that? Boy, that camera is struggling to focus on that, isn't it? All right, I guess I won't really focus on that. Well, if you could see that, it would tell you I'm at 12,590. So I have no doubt that I'll be over the 10K this month. So the 10K is like, you know, they say like when people become rich, and it's not totally accurate comparison, but they say when people become rich, the first $1 million is really hard. The next 10 million is not as hard. It's kind of like proof of concept. Like you have to believe, you have to get to a certain point where you say, all right, this amount of money is meaningful to me. It'll happen. I've seen it happen. I know I can scale it up to whatever. But getting that first, big hurdle, whatever it is hard. Like that's the part where it's just like so many people quit and give up. So I kind of feel like with 10K, like getting to 20K or 30K, I'd really like to be around 30K. That would be a nice $360,000 a year business. That would be great. Like that would be enough profit that we'd be throwing off from that we could pay for all of our lifestyle and all of our needs and a lot of our wants. And, Karen's salary is just gravy. So, and I think at 30K a month, 360K, we can do it. Kurt asked, are you doing RA? Yes. So I didn't share with this. Oh, I'll share this one since you guys are, let's stop sharing with this one and I'll show you this one. So this screen, this is just like my spend goals and so on. And I'm just doing this to kind of keep myself on track. And you can see here, like this is September, and my goal is to spend $7,500 this month or last month on retail arbitrage and online arbitrage, which is $242 a day. And I spent $4,500 in OA and $2,000 in RA. So I didn't quite make it. I was about $1,000 short. So I was a little disappointed in that. But this month, I think I'm on track. I'm also going to spend $7,500. And because I project, guys, that like 7,500 will eventually get me to like a 15K month in terms of sales. That's where that number came from. About a 2X. That's about right when you mix in online arbitrage and RA. RA technically can get you even higher. RA is if you buying stuff in stores will always be more profitable than online arbitrage, but online arbitrage is easier and you can scale it quicker. And on an hourly rate, it's probably better. So this month, though, I've spent about $3,900. So I'm right on track. I need to be at 3,500 tomorrow, and I'm already at 4,000 basically. So I'm should be right on track. But you kind of have to do that. You kind of have to spend, you got to spend to make some money. There's no doubt about it. So I'm doing both. I sell stuff. I'm gonna start showing some of these. I'm sorry, guys. I meant to be showing your comments. Moonshine Fuel says, I sell stuff I listed 8 years ago. I'm good with it with store subscription. I pay a flat fee. All good. Yeah, and I mean, if that's your model, what works for you. Oh wait, you've got another comment too. Thing is, my store has staying power. If I don't list for months, it's like the Energizer Bunny, it keeps going. Yeah, so I mean, that's the advantage of Amazon too. The difference with Amazon is if you're doing FBA, you not only are you still selling, Amazon is the one doing the prepping and shipping. So I'm having to do that part. So if you wanted to, like, if you had your business all set up, like I heard this story the other day, guys, like somebody mentioned this in my group, and they just kind of mentioned in passing. It was a big seller who mentioned it. Somebody who sells like 10 million a year on Amazon, big seller. And there are bigger sellers than that, but this person, I think $10 million a year is a big seller to me. That's a big seller, no doubt. But they said that they knew people with Amazon who literally will buy product all year long, like basically up to October. And then in October, they send it all in. That's it. Like they don't send in any of it until like they're buying all for fourth quarter. So they're not incurring any Amazon fees. They're probably storing in a warehouse or storage buildings and so on. And they're not doing any prep and shipping. They're just buying. Just buy it, store it, buy it, store it, buy it, store it. Maybe they're IDing it. I don't know. Probably not. And then they just prep it and ship it all. And I was like, so basically you buy all year, and maybe you're just doing OA and you're just all throwing it in there. You buy all year and then you send it all in for Q4. And that's it. Like you theoretically could even buy it. If you could buy enough, you could buy it like in August and September. You literally could work 4 months of the year, not even, probably 3 months. Because I know, like Kaaren and I, we were doing basically prep and ship for one of our friends a few years ago. Two people can prep and ship 10,000 items. Actually, we had 20,000 items. Now I think about it. You could prep and ship 20,000 items in like a month. No problem. Unless they're just all different, which they won't be with Amazon. That's the thing. You'll have a bunch of the same. Unless it's just crazy difficult prepping, which usually it's not going to be. But yeah, you can do that. And then you just send it all in and you're done. Like that's it. You don't work during November, December. Crazy to think about that. But that's the power of these platforms when you get it right. What does it say? Josh says, have you figured out the dates from an Amazon payment that the COGS come from? I'm not sure I totally understand that question. Have you figured out the dates from an Amazon payment that the COGS come from? Well, I don't know that I totally understand your question, Josh, but so I use a program called Inventory Lab. And Inventory Lab allows you to create shipments in it to Amazon. And when you create the shipment, it also allows you to put in the cost of goods sold. You can actually put that cost of goods sold when you're outsourcing it, and you just import that whole big buy list into Inventory Lab when you get home, and boom, everything you just went out and sourced is there, like the amounts you paid and where you got it and taxes and how much you want to sell it for and blah, 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 blah. It's all there. But it has a cost of goods sold in there. So Amazon's paying you out every 2 weeks in my case, and they're paying you back on what's sold. And then Inventory Lab pulls those items from when you listed them, and it pulls the cost of goods sold and figures that in to that month's sales. So it's there in that sense. I'm not sure that totally answered your question, but everything you sell that month, Inventory Lab is tabulating the cost of goods sold that you entered. And you can go in and enter a cost of goods sold if you want. You can actually go in and do manual entries. It's kind of pointless in my mind. It's like do it one time and be done with it. But the cost of goods sold also allows you to figure out things like how much profit you want to make and setting your repricer to say, all right, well, my cost of goods on this was $10 and the fees are $10. So I'm in it for $20. And let's say I want to make at least a 10% ROI. So I want to make at least $2 on it. So you would need to sell it for 22 basically. Probably a little bit more than 22 actually. Let's see. Linda says, so sorry if you've already discussed this, but are you shipping to your customers directly from the Amazon person you buy from with OA? No. I'm not doing, that kind of sounds like drop shipping. No, I'm definitely not doing that. When I buy OA, it's through companies' websites. It's like the big companies, it's the Walmarts, it's the Targets, it's the Best Buys, it's the Dick's Sporting Goods, it's the, it's the Kohl's, it's the, all those Nike, all those, it's those. And then I'm bringing it here and then selling it. So it's all authentic, invoiced, well, not invoiced, but at least purchase ordered, authenticated products. And then I'm sending it to Amazon. And then I'm listing it against a listing. When I buy it, I'm making sure that there's a listing for it and then everything's accurate. And then I'm sending it in. Linda says, do you like Amazon affiliates? I assume you're talking about Amazon Associates. Yeah, I mean, Associates just allows you to, recommend things to people and send them an affiliate link, and you get a small commission when they purchase it. I mean, I still have some of those floating around out there and make a little bit here and there, but not really anything that's any significant. It never has been real significant for me. Some people do really well with it. I've never been a big affiliate guy, but yeah. Duncan, life is great. Scroll back. There's a lot that's gone on, but it's been awesome. Where did you learn how to do online arbitrage /RA, and what resource do you use when sourcing? So I talked a little bit about that earlier, Kurt. I joined a group called the Amazon Seller Tribe, and I joined them, and through their trainings and so on is where I learned probably 90% of what I know about online arbitrage, for sure, maybe more. RA, I'd kind of already been doing some of that, but not doing it very well. I mentioned this earlier, and this is like something that I highly recommend everybody does. Be honest with yourself. Because if you're not honest with yourself, no one else is really going to be able, no one else knows you but you, like totally knows you. You know you better than anybody. And be honest with yourself. If you're not good at something, or you think you're good, but you're getting crappy results when other people are getting good results, guess what? You're not good at it. And that's where I was at. I realized there was things I didn't know. There was things I was doing wrong. There was probably things I didn't even know I was doing wrong. And I humbled myself and said, I need to join up with some people who do. So that's what I did. And it's been a great partnership with them. And so not really partnership, but great to be a part of that group, because I've learned a ton from a lot of different people. I've made a lot of good friends. I think, I don't have, disclaimer, I'm not any kind of affiliate or anything like that. They don't even do that for that group or anything. So don't think I get any kind of special thing for just recommending them. But, they're a good bunch of people. And they genuinely want to see each other succeed, and they genuinely push each other to succeed. There's no like, oh, I'm better than you because I did more volume or whatever. It's like, no, here's how I did it, and I'm going to share that with you, and maybe you can learn something from that. And I did. I went to Pennsylvania to the Seller Tribe meetup, and when other people who were talking about business that were more successful than me, which was pretty much everybody there, I just shut up, or I asked questions. I tried not to make a bunch of statements because I'm like, I don't know what I'm talking about. Some things I know a lot that I talk about, but these things like, these people know more than me. I need to be quiet and just listen. And I think that's how you get better at things. Resources to use when sourcing, Kurt. I like Inventory Lab. I like Scoutify. It's a great scanning tool. There are some limitations to it, just like there are to all of them, but I like it. I think it's a great balance of what you get for the product. You get the Inventory Lab, which allows you to prep and list your shipments and do your inventory and do your accounting, your tracking on it, and do all kinds of reports and so on. And you also get the Scoutify tool to use for sourcing. For $50 a month, I think it's a great value. But there are other ones out there. I just not as familiar with them. If your payment comes, Josh says, if your payment comes on the 15th and I want to take out the COGS, it is not from the sale the first 15th because of the reserve. So it's like the 23rd to the 7th. Yeah, I mean, there could be a reserve, kind of where they're holding stuff for returns and so on. Look, Josh, I don't know you, don't know your skill set or how you're running your business, but I'm just going to tell you this. To try to go in and manually pull all that crap out, like COGS and so on, especially if you start doing any kind of velocity, like you're selling like 100 units or 200 units or whatever, dude, complicated. when I first signed up with an accountant a few years ago, one of the things he wanted me to do early on, this was right when I first started with Jared. He's not my accountant anymore, but when he was my accountant, one of the things he wanted me to do, like the first month I started, which was like January of 2018, maybe, I was all eBay, no Amazon, right? He wanted me to go in and make QuickBooks entries for every single item I had in my eBay inventory and the COGS. And at that time, it was like 12 or 1,300 units. Dude, super time consuming. And the reason he wanted to do that was because then my books would be technically 100% accurate in terms of how much inventory I started the year with and what I ended with and the balance, blah, blah, blah. So the balance sheet would be perfect. Would that make it perfect? Yes. But I told him after I started doing a few of them, I was like, I cannot do this. I said, this is super time consuming. It's so easy to make mistakes. There's no way to streamline it. And we just decided to say, all right, well, like when you go buy, I was buying a lot of jeans back then. I'd go buy 30 pair of jeans and spend, let's just say $150, and we say, all right, $5 average cost on all this. Done. 150 divided by 30. So that simplified it. My point is like, that kind of stuff is like nickel work, and you want to focus on the dollar work. It's very time consuming. So I would say find you a software solution or app solution that does that for you and allows you to put your stuff in and doesn't take a lot of time. Because, man, every second you take time on doing that kind of stuff, you're going to, that's killing your hourly rate. You know what I mean? Like, you can be making more money, but you're spending a lot of time doing a lot of minutia around your accounting and so on. And it doesn't really do that much for you. It doesn't bring you any real value. I would just recommend you find a better solution. I like Inventory Lab, $50 a month. I think that's very reasonable. But whatever solution maybe makes sense for you and so on. But if you want to know more about Inventory Lab, again, just find me on Facebook and hit me up. I'll be glad to talk to you about it. I think it's a great program. Mark, I was only a couple hours from you. Where? In Pennsylvania? We were in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Great little town. Avery, Romer the Romer, decided to make an appearance. What's up, my friend? How's the book game? We were talking about the book game earlier. So Romer's a guy who actually, if you guys don't know Avery, I assume that's the real Avery. But if you don't know Avery, he has a huge book selling business on Amazon. It has for a few years now, and it's helped a lot of people scale their book businesses and so on. Through textbooks, but also through some other things too. So if you guys are interested in books and so on, I highly recommend you talk to Avery. He will definitely set you in the right direction and so on. And I know he's got some training materials and courses and stuff out there too. But yeah, just hit him up. Glad to give him a shout out. That's right. We did used to mastermind back in the day. Yeah, Avery and I and Rex. I saw Rex 3 weeks ago, Avery, in Hershey at the Seller Tribe meetup. So Rex is crushing it. I don't think Rex is doing books anymore, but he's all Amazon. But yeah, he's doing awesome. So yeah, Rex is a good dude. Rex does not have a YouTube channel, to my understanding. But yeah, so, oh man, we've been on here for an hour 15. What in the heck? So yeah, I just think, guys, that if you want to scale up your business, there comes a moment when you have to commit. You have to commit. And when you commit, you have to not only put in the time and energy, but you have to decide that this is going to be something I'm going to attack it from every angle that I need to get to be successful. And if you don't do that, you'll never really know how far you could have gone. I see potential, this room, I'm trying to, this room is one of our spare bedrooms in the house now. And it's just, this is just Amazon in here. There's stuff comes in, you can see those products back there are stuff that's coming the last few days. I got some Sierra, Kohl's. I don't know what else I got right there. Bosco's, some Walmart. And then, I prep it and put it all on this table, box it up, send it out the door. Lowe's medium boxes are my best friend these days. I reuse box when I can. But I think out of this little room, I can sell $300,000 out of this little room. I know I can, because people have done it. Like, I don't need to sell 10,000 units a month. I need to sell 400 units a month, something like that. And you can do that like out of a spare. This is like a, I don't know, 10 by 10 room. It's 100 square feet. So, you can take 100 square feet in your house and set it up for your business. And I went vertical with all these baker's racks. And that was the best step I ever did here, because before I had all tables and it was all low and it was shit everywhere. So you got to be able to put stuff and get space. But you can take a room in your house and you can build a several $100,000 a year business right out of it. You don't need warehouses. You don't need office space. You can do all that if you really want to. And I've done it. And I love office space. And I love warehouses, but you don't have to do that. So make sure that you look at what you have, look at what you've got, look at your space you use in your house. eBay's, you could put a lot of eBay inventory in a room this size. 100 square feet of eBay inventory. I'm sure you could sell 100K a year on eBay in that kind of space. No doubt about it. Duncan was on here earlier, but like he sells a lot of, vintage items and so on. And like that stuff has high ASPs, high average selling prices. So, he's not selling $12 items from the bins. He's selling $30 and $40 and $50 items. And you can do that. You could, use what you've got. You don't necessarily need to go buy a bunch of crap. You don't even need to spend a ton of money. You're going to have to spend some. But, all those goofy, corny posts you see on Facebook and so on and Instagram that say things like people will spend $50,000 on a car, but they balk at spending $5,000 on their business. That's true. They do. I had to commit at a point. I was like, I've got some money. What am I going to spend it on? And Kaaren and I had a long talk about it. It's like, let's scale this up. Let's see how big we can get this to a point that'll work for us. So, you got to do what works. And in this, I'm going to tell you something too. Like, it might be a little late now, but this year with the supply chain issues we're having on, as a world, but specifically as a country, I think we're going to see some prices on Amazon that are going to be astronomical. And I don't just mean toys. I mean things that people need but cannot get. Now, I'm not a fan of price gouging people. Don't get me wrong. But I also recognize, too, that the market, that's how it clears out inefficiencies by when things are too highly priced like that, that sort of reduces the amount of inventory available and it sort of stabilizes things. And people realize what they really need and what they really just want. And that kind of changes their mindset, too. But there's going to be people willing to pay ridiculous prices for things this year. Ridiculous, because they can't get it. You're already seeing stores saying, buy your Christmas gifts right now. Or there's a chance you won't have them even on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. They're probably right. And so I'm planning that too. And I have some friends, like I was just talking to a friend of mine tonight. He's going to get mad if I share this, I bet. I probably should ask him. But he was talking to me about Amazon flips, and he's buying things on Amazon he wants to flip later on Amazon, thinking there'll be a higher price. If you knew the amount of money he has spent doing that, I don't think I'm going to say the amount of money because a lot of people might know who it is, and he might not want me saying the amount, but it's a lot. So, and because his thought is just like they're going to be higher prices like over the next 3 months. And he's probably right. Maybe even into the new year. Like, take advantage of what's out there. Just because things are bad in one area doesn't mean you can't, take advantage of it in another area. And just because you've got a limitation, you're like, well, shit, prof, all I got is like half of a garage space in my garage. Use it. Set it up. You know, go to the thrift store if you need to. Get cheap tables, get cheap racks. You don't have to buy fancy. This is not fancy stuff. I mean, these baker's racks were like $70 a piece. They weren't crazy expensive. I would say the tables and the equipment and the printer, the computer that I have, I bought a $500, refurbished computer on Amazon with 2 monitors. That included the monitors, works great. I would say like equipment in here, including the computers, bags, boxes, racks, tables, chair, bins, I doubt it's much over $1,000. It could be, it probably is. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a little over $1,000 of total stuff, and you think about like, you're going to say like, you're going to spend $1,000 and then you're going to go, develop and run this $100,000 a year business with it, 150. Of course you would spend $1,000. Why wouldn't you? Like, what's really holding you back? And because I know there's a lot of people out there who think, well, but there's this and that. I'm like, I don't know, man. Just quit making excuses and do it. Shit. Life's too short to be thinking about all the things that are going to go wrong all the time. I've done a lot of that in my life, and I'm just at the point I'm like, well, a lot of things probably go right. So Kurt says he's joining the Facebook group. That's cool, Kurt. Hopefully you'll see some of the send me a message when you're there. You'll see some of the people there and so on, and some of the stuff that goes on, and then you can make decisions from there. And again, I have no financial interest in that group whatsoever, but I've just been a fan of it. And like I said, there's plenty of multi-million-dollar a year sellers. And there was some stories we heard up there in Hershey from some of the people there that just, I don't know that I can really share them all because people might not want them all being shared, but it was just really inspiring, no doubt. All right. Well, listen, that's going to do it for tonight, guys. Hopefully that was informative and helpful. I don't know. Sometimes I do these shows as much for me as I do them for you. So, but before you leave, smash that like button if you don't mind, and hit the subscribe too. I am going to try to get a little more regular. I always keep saying that. I've just been so slack with YouTube the last several months, last year really. And leave me a comment down below if something kind of struck you. Hit me up on Facebook if you can find me under Prof Sales actually. And hope you guys have a great rest of your Q4. I'm sure I'll probably see you before that, but go out there and get it. Make it happen. Commit, decide, start, succeed. Later.